this is going to be the procedure when you're ready to come in and start class. You're going to start here at Davis 1, and you can see out in the parking lot, there's an orange cone blocking the space. Those cones are for you. When you come, if all the spaces are taken and there are only orange cones, those are your spots. Move the cone, park in that space, put it behind your car. When you're all finished, you'll come back, you'll move your car and put the cone back in that spot for the next person. Then you'll come on into Davis 1. Everyone should have a key. If you don't, get a hold of me and let me know so I can get you one right away. Come on in. So we're going to go through the side door to the equipment space. The same key that opens the front door opens the equipment door. There's always a stopper on the ground so you can hold it open if you need to. You're going to come on in. On the second shelf down, there will be 3 or 4 UC Living Fit Forever cinch bags. You're going to grab a cinch bag with all your equipment in it, and you're also going to get yourself one of the speakers, if you need one, on the floor plugged in here in the space. So you'll grab all your equipment. You can see that our speakers are on the ground here and plugged in. We want to make sure they're always plugged in so the next person has the opportunity to use a fully charged speaker. Everything that you need is in here. Not only will you grab that, but you'll notice there is a stack of papers next to the cinch bags. That's going to be your list of who you can expect in class. Make sure that you grab it so you know who to expect when you're in class and you're ready to go teach. Let me show you where we're going to be. So from Davis 1, we're going to go ahead and head across the street. Main hospital is on the left, and you're going to keep on going straight down this road. We could cross here. This is Shriners. We're going left. Betty Irene Moore Hall. So as you can see, I'm at Betty Irene Moore Hall. We're going to hold our classes on the concrete as well as in the grass. You can see it's about 11:30, almost 12 now, and we're just starting to get the little peak of some shade. It's much shadier in the evening at 5:30. If you're teaching a new class on the grass, you're welcome to be in the far grass where there's a little patch of shade, but there's not a ton of shade in this area. So if you're teaching a class on the concrete, what we need to block off is these walkways. If you can see this marker here, this is our walking loops, and we want to make sure that the paths that people walk are clear. So in your bag of instructor supplies, everyone will have a stack of cones. So for this walking path, if I'm going to teach my class here in this piece of shade, I'm going to just take my cones. This is just to indicate that people should not be walking in towards the fitness area. And that makes it clear to hold a class right here in this area from the end of the shade on that side until here. And in this area, we're cleared for about 10 people to work out with the instructor. Not only can we work out here on this piece of concrete, but if you'll come with me, you'll see that there are multiple spaces where we can work out in this area. Let's keep on walking. You'll see that this area is shaded. If we had one instructor there, we could have another instructor by the doors. This building is closed right now, and we could hold in a whole nother class here, as long as everybody is separated by at least 10 feet. And we want to make sure the classes aren't super noisy. If we have a really loud class that has music, we'll stay further apart. At noon, the center area is a little bit sunny. But we also have this side that's shaded by the building. This is also another place where you can hold class. And again, it fits about 10 people. If you were to hold class on this side, again, we would want to put markers on the walkway. I'll show you where these would go. You can see on this side that not only do we have the walking loops, but this path goes from the parking lot and hits the walking loops. So for this area, we're going to block off the whole walking path so people know not to come this way while classes are being held. And that's all that's necessary here to block this area. Now for this space, I'm going to show you how to properly mark the ground for your class attendees. Go ahead and turn it on. In each instructor bag, you will find a set of chalk as well as a measuring tape. It's up to each instructor where they decide to stand. I like to measure myself at least 10 feet away from the walking path. And here's how I do it. I just take my measuring tape all the way out. 10-foot mark. And that gives you a good idea of how far away you want to be. As you can see here, from the cone to this line is 10 feet. So that would be an appropriate place to put your first mark. And you can decide how close or far away from the path it needs to be. I like to put my first mark in the center. And because I already know that it's about to this line, I'm just going to put my first mark on the other side of this line. Then I'm going to take my measuring tape. And depending on what class I'm teaching, I'm just going to begin to mark spaces. I'll do one here in this square, and only one person will be in this square. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it right here. And that's how this person will know they can stand in this square. There's not enough space to have people side by side with 10 feet of space. So if you wanted to, theoretically, you could do the mark in the middle. But I like to consider that people need to be able to see their instructor. If that were instructor space, then I want to kind of stagger people so they can see what's going on. This is a long space, so keep that in mind when you're deciding where you want to put your X's. Sometimes they'll already be marked for you, and that can be super helpful. You can just see where they are and go. And again, I'm keeping in mind I want the instructor to be able to be well seen, and I want them to have room to move around. So I'm going to go ahead and go here with it. And I'll continue to stagger my X's as I go. You'll already know how many people you're expecting in class, so you'll know how many marks you need to make. And when you have enough marks, that's where your class will be set up. If your class is going to be in the grass, you'll do something similar. You can see that right now, it's about noon, and there's not a ton of shade here. In the evening, it gets a little bit more shady, but there's also not an opportunity to chalk the floor. So we're going to use the cones, and I'll show you again what that might look like. If you're going to be in the shade here, and this is where you want to stand as the instructor, you're going to, again, make sure that you're always 10 feet away from any walking areas. And then once again, you're going to want to stagger everyone so they can see. Most of the classes here will be gentle classes such as yoga, Pilates, core, maybe strength training, things like that. People will be expected to bring their own mats. Remember that mats are about 6 feet apart, so when you're putting somebody here, it would be appropriate for their mat to go sideways. Consider that they're going to go sideways and allow a little extra space in between people. I'm eyeballing about 3 feet because I know there's going to be a mat here. It doesn't have to be exact. We want to err on the side of caution and make sure that people are farther apart rather than closer together. We can have no more than 30 people congregate at a time. For now, we're only going to allow 15 people per class, so you should have plenty of space here in the grass. And depending on how many people in your class, you'll just continue to mark spaces until you have enough markers down for your entire class. When it comes to being in the grass behind Betty Irene Moore, you're welcome to use this circle that's in between the walk-in loops. And you're also welcome to use this large square of grass. You can see there's a large tree and there's a little bit of shade over there. If you're concerned about the shade and you really want to have a little shade to offer people at your noontime class, you're welcome to set up over there as well. It's up to you. The same procedure would go with measuring and marking your spots. From the Betty Irene Moore grass, you can see the facilities planning building directly across the street. We're going to go ahead and walk that way, and I'll show you where our other two approved spaces are. Let's go. The ACC is going to be directly to your left. The facilities building is in front of you.
Okay, we're walking through the parking lot.
And you can see the sign for the crosswalk. We're just going to go right there. And you can already see the light. Can you see the light? It's got an orange bottom to it. It's a tall light. That's one of our spaces, so let's go ahead and cross. And by the FSSB, this is space number 1. You can see that there's a walking path toward parking. The clinical lab building is to your right, and we'll go back to Davis 1 down this street so you can see an optional way to go to get here. So you can see this is a big circle with some chairs all around it. And you can see that there are a number of walkways that people will want to walk through. We'll need to make at least one of these walkways accessible for people to walk. So I'll show you what your options are and how you can mark these paths for your class. Make sure that the walkways are clearly marked. I'm going to go ahead and block this walkway because there's already a path for people to walk down the sidewalk. Once you have the walking areas marked, you can begin to mark the ground for your class. You're going to take your measure. You're going to find that 10-foot mark. Lock it in. And this space falls within the 10-foot mark, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this square in the center. Someone can stand in this square, and this can be their own square. These are 10 feet apart, so I'm going to go ahead and stagger. This makes it much more than 10 feet apart from the other. And I know that we have this light, but this is a pretty big square, so we're going to go ahead and let someone be right here. Not only do we not use equipment, but not everyone's going to have access to the bench, so although it may be tempting to do dips or steps up and down off the bench, you have to consider that everyone needs to stay apart be a great idea. And we don't know how long particles stay on surfaces, so we don't want people touching the same things. Common sense will tell you we're going to go ahead and stagger because we've already seen these spaces are more than 10 feet apart. You're going to feel free to use your measure just to check. But you can see the pattern, right? You can see that these squares are far apart enough that that's going to be a safe amount of space. Keep in mind that you need to save a space for yourself. So while there might be 10 spaces, you'll be able to fit 9 people in your class because you need to account for 10 feet of space between the people in your class and yourself. And don't forget to pick up your cones when you're all done. From this circle, you may remember that we marked off this path right by the drinking fountain. And this is a walking path that goes behind the FSSB. We're gonna follow it. I'll pass by the smoke-free campus sign.
Keep on going. This is a path that not a lot of people are familiar with.
You can see there's a parking lot to our right. There's a little walking trail from the parking lot to this path. We're going to keep on going. And here we come into this clearing. You see there's this little emergency cone and an orange cone. And with this one, we're just gonna block the walkways. This is just asking people to go around. There's no major walkways here, and there is a path just slightly down the road like I showed you, so people can walk through there. That's all you need to do to block this area. You're going to want the rest of your cones to mark the ground. In my opinion, this is a great area for the instructor to stand in the middle. Again, we're going to get our measure. I was going to mark the dirt with my chalk. That doesn't work so well. So we're just going to go from about the middle. Decide where you want your first person to be. There's a bench right here, so I'm just going to slide it over. I want people to have plenty of room, so here will be a spot. And I'm going to measure 10 feet away from that. And put down a phone. There's not 10 feet of space here. So obviously, I'm going to keep going the other way. I see that my measuring tape is kind of curling up a little. I'm not worrying about that. I'm keeping it more than 10 feet apart, so I know I'm great. FSSB. On the left down there, that's where the ACC is. We're on 2nd Street, so we're just gonna go ahead and walk towards Stockton Boulevard. We're gonna go ahead and cross right here. At 45th and 2nd. And we're gonna keep going down 2nd towards Stockton Boulevard. The Cancer Survivors Park is on the right. So if you're coming from Davis 1, you'll want to make sure that the Cancer Survivors Park is on your left. As you're walking back to Davis 1, it'll be on your right.
Blackrock building is also on the right-hand side as you get closer.
One going to Davis 1, you're going to go toward the hospital. I'm choosing to cross here. You can also cross right in front of Davis 1 if you like. Here we're back at the hospital. If you stayed on the other side of the street, then you would just cross here to get back to Davis 1. Remember, the spots with the orange cones are for you. Here we are back at Davis 1. Don't forget to go in and put your instructor equipment bag and your speaker back where they go. Thanks, guys. I hope everything goes well. I'll be here to support. Let me know if you need anything or have any questions. I hope that video helped you understand where classes will be held and the procedure for getting set up. Obviously, it's going to take a little time to get from Davis 1 to your space. So please plan for that. Make sure that you get there a little early so you can park, get your stuff, get to where you need to go, and get all your markers put down. Beyond that, we're going to start just at the space at Betty Irene Moore. That'll make things easier. As we start to branch out, I'll plan to meet you at your space just to help you kind of get acclimated and figure out what to do there. So what I wanted to talk to you about is once you're in your space and you've got all your markers down, what next? You're ready to invite people in class. You're ready to welcome them. The first thing, people are going to come in, you should have your mask on, and everybody coming to class should also have their mask on. I'll make sure to have some masks also available in your instructor bag just in case someone doesn't happen to have one. When they do come up, you'll welcome them, greet them, let them know where they can stand, and as you're welcoming them, you'll make sure that they have their badge with the appropriate dot for the day. In your email, there is an attached spreadsheet that shows what color dot should be for each day of this month. So each month it changes. So you'll have a copy of that in your instructor bag as well as in your email so that you can make sure to check that and you know what color everyone should have. If they don't have a badge, if they didn't get their correct dot, unfortunately, they won't be able to take part in class. This is how we make sure everyone's healthy and safe. They have their temperature taken and they fill out a Qualtrics questionnaire before they can get their dot. And so this is just for the health and safety for all of us. If we want to hold class, we need to make sure we're being as safe as possible. I know this is a new procedure and it might be difficult for people, especially in the morning, to get that dot, but this is really what's making it possible for us to work out together. So we really need to make sure that we're being careful and that everybody has the proper dot on their badge. So you'll continue to let your class come in, you'll check those badges, staying at least 6 feet apart. Everybody will have their mask on, everybody will find a spot at their marked areas. They'll all get into their spot, and you'll have your page. As soon as you're ready to start teaching, you're going to grab that page out that has your listed class attendees. You're just going to go ahead and call roll. You're going to mark off those people that are there. That's it. Then you can start teaching class. When you're all done, weekly, you can snap a picture and email it to me or just text it to me so that I can see who attended class and who didn't. There will be some rules about signing up for class, doing the registration. If people choose not to attend and they do that a few times in a row, they'll be bumped to the bottom of the list, because I really want to make sure that we're accepting those people who are going to attend, who are going to be in your class, so we can get the greatest amount of numbers. And just to be fair, so those people who are really interested and really want to attend fitness classes outdoors have the opportunity to do that. So then we need to talk about being outdoors. We have the weather to think about. Sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's too cold. We have the air quality to think about. So those are some things that might affect your classes. We don't want to cancel class if we don't have to, but when it gets too hot, it gets unsafe to exercise. When it gets too cold, it might be too slippery. We also have to think about the air quality with all the fires. So I will do my best to talk to you about classes, which ones will be happening and which ones maybe might not. That's just something that we have to deal with when we're outside, but we're all going to do our best. We've worked really hard to bring this feature to UC Davis Health. We're so excited about it. Let's all just come together with a great positive attitude and have a great time and just be really thankful and grateful that we get to do this. We get to work out together again. We get to be outside, and let's just have fun with it. If you have any questions, if you need to contact me, you know how to contact me. I hope to be able to support you in anything that you need, and let's try to just make this the best experience we possibly can. Thanks, everyone.